The black bird. It was the year 1995, and I worked in Celea. A faithful bicycle was my best friend at that time, helping me get to a point where I could take the truck to Celea. One particular week, I had to work at night. I left at approximately 11 p.m., using the old road, as it was safer. One Monday, as I left Juventino where I parked my bike, I felt like I was being followed. I kept looking around, but I saw nothing. The same thing happened the next night. On Wednesday, things changed, and I started to be afraid. That night, I saw a strange black bird among the trees, jumping from tree to tree, following me. I told my wife about this, and she told me that if it happened again, I should pray the Magnificat, a prayer for protection. On Thursday, the same thing happened. I pedaled harder, and the bird moved faster behind me. I started to pray the Magnificat aloud. Luckily, there was a moon that night, and as I started praying, I felt lighter and could pedal much faster. On Friday, I decided to take the road. I was unlucky, and a car hit me, but thank God I only had a few scratches. That night, my mother-in-law told me that my wife had told her about the bird. They both prayed for me, believing the witch had noticed me passing by frequently and was now targeting me. Thank God, after that, nothing like that happened again, although I no longer go through those paths. The flying woman. I found vacation in Mexico City. One day I was in the attic watching the city when something caught my attention coming from the hills. At first, I thought it was a bird, but it was too big. As it got closer, I was speechless. It wasn't a bird, but a woman flying. I saw her descend onto the roof of a nearby house, and there were other people waiting for her. I called my family, and they saw the woman too. She was an old woman, and I don't think they saw us, or maybe they just ignored us. Later, my family told us that after investigating with the neighbors, they had heard similar stories. Everyone believed they were witches meeting in that place to perform rituals. The mockingbirds. A friend told me about something that happened to his uncle, an agricultural worker on a ranch called La Pila. It was harvest time, so he prepared breakfast to spend the night in the field and start early. He woke up at 4 a.m. and tried to light a fire to warm his coffee, but every time he tried, the match went out. This happened repeatedly until he ran out of matches. A strange wave of air was causing it. He found it strange because the morning seemed calm, without any wind. Suddenly, he heard laughter above him and saw two big birds in the branches of a tree. He ignored it and went to work. When the sun came out, he stopped to have lunch at home. He didn't tell anyone anything, and later, he went to the market with his wife. There, he met two old women who stared at him and started making fun of him. One approached him and said mockingly, "What? Couldn't you light the fire for your coffee at dawn?" The laughter was the same laughter he had heard coming from the birds. The creature in the night. It was night when my grandfather was telling us stories from his past. It was around 11 p.m. when a resident told my grandfather that a strange creature was wandering in the town, with several men following it. It was shaped like a very large bird. My grandfather and I ran to where the others were, leaving my grandmother and sister at home. The creature had gone into an empty room next to the school. We all went to that place, and I was sent to check inside. I approached slowly with a flashlight when a creature burst out and climbed a nearby hill. I dropped the flashlight and ran back to the others. Some wanted to continue the chase, but others were too scared or had to work early. Despite my fear, I wanted to know what we were chasing. We headed for the hill when the lights went out all over town. It was about midnight when a scream echoed everywhere. We were all paralyzed with fear. The creature passed in front of us, and we followed it, seeing it stop at a water reservoir. We saw a kind of deformed bird. It was large, with big eyes and a beak with strange scars. It began to walk and scream strangely, gradually transforming into a man. He was dressed in black leather. He stopped, looked back at us, and told us that we would see him again soon. He continued on his way and disappeared into the darkness. The next day, everyone talked about the creature and its threat to return. The town prepared for its return, believing it had a pact with the devil. The unbaptized child. I am not a very believing man of the things that were told in my town, until one day when my son was born, I was presuming him everywhere. The older people asked me, when was the baptism? Well, I had to do it fast, because the witches were abundant there, those ignorant people said. Days passed until one Friday night, darker than usual, with a strong wind. My wife and I put our son to bed and went to rest when we heard strange noises on the roof, like someone walking. There were also loud footsteps. My wife told me to go look outside. I searched the house but found nothing. When I returned, my wife was scared, saying she heard noises in the baby's room. I took the baby's crib into our room to sleep with us. Despite the noise, we started to fall asleep when we heard footsteps approaching the baby's crib. I woke up and saw an old woman with long nails trying to grab my son. I stood up and yelled. The old woman slapped me against the wall with such force that I crashed against the wall. I grabbed a little Christ that my wife had and showed it to that old woman. She turned around and disappeared into thin air. I fainted. The next day, I woke up. I thought it was a nightmare, but I saw scratches on my chest where the old woman had slapped me. I took my wife and son to the church to tell the father. He said it was because the child had not been baptized, and the witch wanted to take him. The father baptized my son immediately and gave me a medal to ward off witches. Since that day, my son sleeps with us, and I have crosses and medals to protect him. Now, I believe in witches. Black Agnes. Black Agnes is the equivalent of the boogeyman. An old blue-faced witch with iron claws, long teeth, and a single eye. It is made of despair, terror, and darkness. It delights in tearing apart human flesh, especially that of children. It eats the raw flesh, scatters the bones through the mountain, and hangs the empty piles on the branches of the trees. It lives in Den Hills, Leicestershire County, in a cave that she built herself, profaning the rock with her steel claws. An old oak covers the entrance, waiting for a child or a lamb to pass underneath if hunger tightens. The witch leaves her cave just to haunt the houses in search of food. She puts her thin arms through the grates of the windows, but the itching of her teeth expels her. So, everyone gathers in the hope that she will give up and leave. Even so, sometimes a child is missing in the morning. If she does not get her favorite dish, she then dedicates herself to satiating her hunger with the cattle. Until the end of the 18th century, a dog hunt was held in Leicester every Easter Sunday, because Black Agnes was sometimes represented as a cat. Then a symbolic ritual was performed, using this dead and bathed animal as an anise, thus representing the witch. With these practices, it is believed that it is possible that he could migrate to the Highlands of Scotland, where he was also hunted.